My name's Jimmy Lewis. I'm a washed up motorcycle racer, sometimes journalist, and I do Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, which is where I'll really tell you what I think. But I'm still in my gear. I obviously need a beer, and I was really stoked to finally get back out and ride some of these 450X FX bikes. I've been sort of in like KTM 500 rally bike land and riding Husabergs and do all this weird stuff with like soft, mushy suspension. And these are race bikes. And I'm probably the only guy in the group today that was kind of saying, hey, the front ends are actually stiff in my world. But I understand it because it didn't take long on the track, especially when we got to the track, to start noticing some differences. This morning we're out on the trails and I hopped on all the bikes, on off all the bikes, and I noticed right away that they're all really good. And being stiff or feeling stiff, you know, it's kind of a traction thing. And when I was riding, I'm going, hey, they're stiff, but they're plush. They're not beating me up, and they're actually getting pretty good traction for how stiff they are. And then it kind of came down to motor character, and I was all able to ride them a gear high and lug and not spin and slide. And so this is kind of a Western condition and a little bit different than when you have a lot of traction and good dirt back east. But the bumps were choppy, something that you do see kind of back east. And then when we came out of the track, I noticed a lot of differences. So initially, I'm really surprised about how close all these bikes are. They're really decent, multi-capable bikes, because I usually don't like stiff bikes off-road. I would never want to ride a motocross bike off-road, and some of these bikes almost have motocross suspension, so they're getting better. Then later on, we came back down, started riding around the track, and this is, like I said, first impression, basically ride height, set the ride height for us, and then go, so we didn't mess around with clickers. And I felt that I did a little bit on some of the bikes, but it came down to, for me, the engine character was kind of overpowering the way that the suspension worked. I was having a difficulty in the beginning kind of getting them to turn because they were, like I said, they were stiffer. They weren't as mushy as what I'm used to riding. But then I start adjusting the throttles on the different bikes, and in reality, the biggest difference between these motors seems to be, or between these bikes, seems to be the motors. The Yamaha is kind of pipey and peppy and pretty, actually I'll call it super responsive, almost to a fault with the stock maps. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you kind of have the gas and the Kawasaki that are more lumbering four strokes that do chug and they have a kind of a brute power. I think just out of the box, the gas was actually really, really good. I would want a little more pep on the bottom, but the way it ramped up into the mid and the top was good. The Kawasaki has really good bottom, really good mid, and then it has like afterburner up on the top end, so much so that it was spinning for me and a little bit problematic. So yeah, I'm complaining about too much power here. The Yamaha seemed like it always had too much power, but it was always too much throttle response, and I know from experience that a map can easily fix that. When I went to the less aggressive map, it didn't seem to help because it kind of made it a little more like the Kawasaki, where the bottom was smooth, but then the top end kind of ramped up again. What surprised me was the Honda just was a good all-around package. And then I started thinking about how much I liked when Honda made the CR450R and we were riding around on a kind of a similar track, and the bike just worked really good. For some reason, today's track just favored that suspension character. It seemed like it had the best, pulled up the best balance. And between the three different maps, mostly I was running aggressive, and it just did its job. It allowed me to ride a gear high pull. It doesn't feel like it revs, but it really does rev, and it revs a long time. So kind of they're all pretty close, but in the grand scheme of things, any one of these, I could hop on one of these bikes and race it. The Yamaha for me would definitely require a map, and the Kawasaki, I think I want to try a different power clip. So there's all kinds of little things that we know we can change. Luckily, I get to stick around. We're going to ride the SRA Grand Prix tomorrow. I'm going to make some of the changes that I know to these bikes and ride them a couple times and go from there. But I thought there was going to be, I actually thought I was going to like different things, like everybody said. But that's the cool thing about getting to ride all these bikes is you do get to notice the differences, and you can make any of them work.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully we'll see you out in the trail.